Present.
Present.
Present. All right, all present and accounted for. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Member Nicholson, seconded by Member Pesh. Any discussion? Hearing seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Just a reminder, I heard that we got great marks from the TV audience by everybody removing your mask when you speak. Everybody, when you're speaking, take it off. When you're not, put it back on, okay? So they can hear us at home, because they said the mayor's too loud. All right, Superintendent, could we start with an introduction of our student for tonight's flag salute, please?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to call up Principal Chris Reeve is here tonight. Suzanne Lamoureux, Associate Principal, is here, and we have Caden, I believe, to do our flag salute. So welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I am very proud to present Caden Scanlon to lead the Pledge of Allegiance at school committee tonight. Caden lives with his mom and dad, Aaron and Joshua Scanlon, and has two siblings, Brielle, who's 5 and attends the growing years, and Devin, who's 26 and lives in Florida. Although he doesn't have any pets right now, he would like to get a mini Bernedoodle puppy, which is a cross between a Bernese mountain dog and a poodle. They're known to be highly intelligent with a playful and happy-go-lucky personality, which would be a great match for Caden. He is a good student with a natural curiosity that leads him to quickly and accurately answer many of the daily trivia questions posed in the morning announcements. Caden also gets along well with his peers, has a great sense of humor, and always enjoys a good laugh. Caden has attended the Timony School since kindergarten, and he appreciates all the teachers he's had and the friends he has made in that time. His favorite classroom subject is math because he finds it easy to learn. It makes sense to him, and he pays attention the most in math class. His favorite special subject is PE because he likes being able to move around and do activities during the day. Caden likes to both watch and participate in sports. He cheers on all of the New England sports teams, the Patriots, the Celtics, the Red Sox, and the Bruins. And he plays basketball, baseball, flag football, in local recreational and travel leagues. In fact, one of his favorite things about our Methuen community is the amount of recreational opportunities available to kids. When he grows up, he would like to be a professional athlete, preferably a wide receiver in the National Football League, or a police officer for the Methuen Police Department.
Okay.
His 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Patty Went, who's in attendance also tonight, shared the following thoughts about Caden. Caden is a very bright, inquisitive young man. When something interests him, he does not hesitate to research and share his findings. He has also been my go-to tech guy all year. Thank goodness for Caden. He has helped his technologically challenged teacher out at every turn, every time, or someone else in our class has struggled with the computer. I am very proud of him and so grateful that I was chosen to be his teacher this year. I will have to say this is off script, and sometimes I go up and I'll do lunch duties, and Caden also is very well versed in some principles of economics because, especially supply and demand, he tried to sell me his little packet of craisins for $2,000 the other day. So we talked a little bit about supply and demand, and the funny thing is he almost had me buying them. So it is a pleasure to have Caden represent our Timony School in leading the Pledge of Allegiance. Caden.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Caden, come on up with mom and dad and little sister. Come on up, we'll take some pictures, okay? This is from you. So this is from you. So this is from you. Okay? Congratulations, that's really nicely done.
Right up there with the mayor.
Congratulations, I know. I was reading your lips.
Steps in. Superintendent, will you please introduce the SOAR Award recipient for Wellness Department, please?
Sure. I'd like to call up Mr. Jeff Osgood, who's here tonight from the Wellness Department, to recognize our SOAR Award for April. And we have our students.
Yes.
I just want to make sure.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, I can take this down, huh? That's great. It's always great. I can't help it. It's always great when the Wellness Award winner is someone who, when I ask for it, all the teachers volunteer this particular name, and that's where we're at tonight. So pretty great tonight to say that our physical education department enthusiastically selected Michael Crow this year for the 2021 SOAR Award in recognition of his exceptional attitude, effort, and leadership both in and out of the field house. Physical education teacher Paul Shagru wrote, "Michael Crow has done an amazing job this year as it relates to physical education. His consistency and participation throughout the remote learning portion of the year showed his ability to adapt and still be a valuable member in the class setting that was new to everyone. When students were able to return to in-person learning, Michael was one of the few who took advantage of the opportunity and acted as a leader to the small group that we had. He will be greatly missed next year." Assistant wrestling coach John Shagru wrote, "Michael's been a key piece of our wrestling program over the past 4 years. He came in freshman year with zero experience and will end his senior year as one of the captains of our team. His determination and willingness to learn was a quality that every team member noticed, along with the coaches, in what led to his many successes. It's clear that he will continue to learn and push himself to accomplish more as he embarks on his next endeavor. Success will always follow the character that Michael portrays." Michael is also a member of the Methuen High School football team, where he demonstrated the knowledge that a team is made up of individuals working together and that no one person is more important than the other. He always put the team first and would do whatever the coaches felt necessary in order to bring success to the group. Michael has applied and has been accepted into Bridgewater State, UMass Lowell, and Salem State. He will study criminal justice and has plans to become a law enforcement officer. Congratulations to Michael Crow.
All right, thank you. I appreciate everybody coming today. I just want to thank my parents for all the support, and I thank all the teachers that nominated me for this award. I very do appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, here we go. I won't say cheese this time.
Now, Superintendent, will you please introduce the recipients of the Moynihan Scholar Athlete of the Month Awards?
Yes, I would like to ask Mr. Curran, our athletic director, to come on up. And we have 2 awardees tonight. We have Bella Keeney and Andrew Lucier. So, do you want them up with you?
No, we'll go
One
one
at
at
a
a time.
time?
Sure, that'd be
Okay.
great. Good evening. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to recognize Bella and Andrew tonight. Their coaches are here to present their awards. Little background on these awards. The Eagle Tribune partners up with Moynihan Lumber to give out one male and one female scholar athlete every month. To have 2 in 1 year is great. We actually have a third. She was just recognized in March, so we'll be back again for this award. But the award's given to a student athlete in a region that the Eagle Tribune covers. So when you factor in that they cover 20 to 25 schools per year, you're talking tens of thousands of kids can be up for this award. They have to be an all-star in the classroom, as an athlete in the community. And when you hear what these coaches have to say about these 2 kids, you'll know why they won these awards. Very proud of these 2 kids. We're going to start with Anthony Faraday, our boys basketball coach, to introduce Andrew Lucier.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the ability to present the Moynihan Scholarship Award to our senior, Andrew Lucier. As Mr. Curran touched on, there's a bunch of, about 3 criteria that they look at, and I like to call them kind of our ABCs of our basketball program, and Andrew has demonstrated excellence in all of them. I like to say our A is for our academics, and Andrew is in the top 10% of his class, of his senior class, and has a 4.3 GPA. He's really excelled in the classroom for the 3 years that we've had him at the varsity program with us. The B is for the basketball part, and Andrew's been a standout basketball player for us since he transferred to us his sophomore year. You know, he's certainly a leader. He's well revered as one of the top players in our conference. This past season, he averaged 10.8 points per game and 6.5 rebounds per game. He's been a multiple-time All-Star throughout his 3-year career here at Methuen. He's also getting geared up for his volleyball season during the spring 2 season, so we're excited for him to participate in that as well. Our C is for our community and our character, and Andrew's character is excellent. I mean, he's been, like I said, a leader for us for the last 3 years, ever since he was a sophomore. Our guys look up to him. The kids in the community, our youth program, they really all look up to him as well. He's been an asset as a volunteer for the Unified Basketball Program, and he's been a mentor to the younger kids in our summer basketball camps. As you can see, I think Andrew is a guy that really stands for a student athlete and what they really are. So congratulations, Andrew.
And I would just like to thank Moynihan Lumber and the Eagle Tribune for selecting me and recognizing me for this award, and also the school committee, Matt Curran, and the administration for allowing us to have a basketball season. It meant a lot to be able to play the sport I loved my senior year, so I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Storm. Something going on over there.
Thursday? Yeah. Now I'd like to call up Kayla Grover, our girls soccer coach, to award Bella Keeney her award.
Awesome, okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. I've had the pleasure of coaching Bella the last 2 years. In those years, I've seen Bella dominate on the playing field and in the classroom. Her academics speak for themselves. She currently ranks 10th out of 469th in her class with an earned 4.5 GPA, an advanced placement in honor level courses. As class president, she has raised funds via Coaches vs. Cancer. She's a member of the Key Club, SAD Club, coaches youth basketball, and even volunteers her spare time to a local food pantry. With all that time, she also, on her athletics, are as outstanding as her academics as well. On the playing field, Bella has amassed numerous awards and accolades throughout her multi-sport career here at Methuen, making her one of the top MVC threats in all her sports. Every opposing team, player, and coaches, no matter what sport in the conference, know who Bella Keeney is. She is resilient, passionate, tenacious, determined, committed, motivated, and a natural-born leader. She is your ideal player as a coach and the perfect teammate guiding your team. But what's more even remarkable about Bella is that when the schoolwork is done and she takes off that jersey, Bella is still the same amazing person that embodies all those qualities and so much more. Bella's constant positive attitude is infectious. She lights up the room everywhere she goes. And a player of Bella's caliber does not come around often. and I'm truly grateful to have coached a player like her. Bella Keeney, this is just the beginning of your amazing future. You are a star. Keep shining because we all need it. This world needs it, and you're amazing. Bella Keeney, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. I'd like to thank the Eagle Tribune for nominating me. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Mr. Kern, for all you've done and made my high school career specifically in sports, so amazing. So thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
I feel like a jack in the box. Yeah. Okay, moving right along. Jacqueline, do you have anything you want to update the committee on?
Especially the cheerleading team, who won grand champions of the entire competitions at the Central Catholic Invitational this weekend, and the boys and girls track team, who started their season off with both teams winning their meet last Wednesday, I believe.
Okay. So that takes us on to public participation. So public participation was posed that as individuals that would like to participate at this meeting may do so in writing. See below for policy number BEDH number 7, referring to remote meetings, before 3 p.m. Monday, April 12, 2021, via an email to Doty at derunge@methuen.k12.ma.us, which will be printed and given to the chairperson of the meeting to read to the public. Are there any? There are none. Or, those that would like to attend will allow 12 additional people into the meeting. You must follow health and safety guidelines, including wearing a mask throughout the meeting, to follow the 6 feet of social distancing. There are no emails. Is there anybody signed in for public participation? No one. Okay, just a reminder, if you'd like us to read a comment before the next meeting, please be sure to send it to Doty at derunge@methuen.k12.ma.us. It says by April 12th, but it would be by April 26th, 26th? By April 26th, 2021, before 3 o'clock p.m. At this time, we'll close the public participation part of the meeting. And that takes us on to approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 11th, 2021?
So moved.
Moved by Member Pesh.
Second.
Second by Member Hallbauer. Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right, thank you. My ears aren't working to this side. Any discussion?
Yes,
on the
Mayor,
minutes?
I have something.
Member Hallbauer, please.
Thank you. I have a correction to the minutes. On page 9, at the top of the page, I know our superintendent wears many hats, but as far as I know, she's not the secretary to the school committee. That. You are?
I am this, yep. You guys voted that in, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
So whenever you want a letter generated of thank you or anything, reports or information, that is my job to make
So we
sure
have
that
two
you-
secretaries?
You have a secretary of the school committee, that would be Jessica McLeod. She
Versus the
takes
secretary to
to the
the
committee.
Oh, to the committee?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to look at my prepositions better, I guess.
But we forgive you because you were teaching
Well,
Spanish.
I
and
wanted
they
to say
kinda
publicly anyway that you do wear many hats. So congratulations, being the secretary to the committee. Look what I learned tonight.
Anything
No
else, Member
correction.
Hallbauer?
I stand corrected.
Okay. Any other feedback on the minutes of January 11th? Hearing and seeing none, All those in favor of approving the minutes of January 11th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Doherty, look at me saving you work. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 25th, 2021 meeting?
Second.
By member McLeod, second by member Pesh. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes of January 25th, 2021 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I actually
Ayes-
have to, Mr. Mayor, I apologize, I'm present because I was not in that meeting that day. I apologize, I vote present, I was not in that meeting that day. I was not a part of that meeting.
Does it say you were? member?
No.
So I have a motion, there's a motion to amend the minutes to say that member Santos was not present, correct?
No, just for the record, just stating that I was not at that meeting.
Okay. Oh, for
Just
the
for the
vote,
vote.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
So, you got it.
Yeah.
All approved with one exception. All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes of February 8th, 2021. Moved by member McLeod. Need a
Second.
Second by member DeZoglio. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes of February 8th, 2021 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you. And I need a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of February 22nd, 2021.
So moved.
Moved by member DeZoglio, seconded by member Santos. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have six aye and one present. Had to do my math skills there, Doherty. All right, thank you very much. Superintendent, can you please update the committee on in-person learning?
I would love to, so thank you. So as you are all aware, we've had our K through 4 students, our seniors, were in 5 days a week, full days last week. It went swimmingly. It was nerve-wracking, but so great to have kids in the hallways and kids back in school. The staff was remarkable, the kids were remarkable, spirits were high, it was great. I did have the pleasure of, the mayor did come today to visit the Timony and Tenny, and we got to see some of our kiddos in the classroom and at lunchtime, and just all the moving parts in play. So a very successful return to full in-person for the parents who chose that. Our seniors also returned 5 days a week last week, and we have some data here that I'll show you. So we didn't have quite as many seniors as we were hoping for. We returned 5 days a week, but somewhat to be expected. So we're still on the upswing there. And this week, our freshmen have returned full 5 days, and then after vacation on the 28th, we will have the rest of the district in full in-person who chose to be 5 days a week. So you can see one of those on page 36, and I apologize, there was no heading on this, but on page 36, I know this is one thing the committee requested, so that the next meeting, we will have the rest of the district percentages. We just want to do that closer to the time of opening, because I know this won't surprise you, but parents are still calling to change their minds. So we're really trying to accommodate every change that we can. But I will say to all of you, and I know we talked about this at great lengths the past couple weeks, is we are at a point in some of our buildings where there is no more in-person space to be had. So the 3 feet distance, every classroom is at maximum capacity. So if a parent wishes to change their mind at this point from remote to in-person, in those particular, again, they're in different grade levels at different schools, so I can't really tell you sort of off the cuff what those are, but the principals have, there's probably 1 grade level in each building that is at capacity at this point for in-person. So at this point, we would not be able to honor parent requests to move to full in-person unless there was a switch, right? So if somebody then opted to move to remote, we wouldn't have a seat for those people. So I think that's just important to note, because we are, we're heading into the end of April here, and we're again, our staff, our teachers, our administrators have done everything to make sure that we're accommodating as many requests as we can. So you can see by the sheet here, this was as of, I asked Mr. Lucier, I think, to print this as of 4/9, so we had the 5 days full in to see if there were any more changes in Infinite Campus. But, so you can see the percentages at each of the schools, at each of the grade levels of fully remote and full-time. So these are our kids now who are full day, 5 days a week. So you have K through 4 at all the grammar schools, you have 12, and the SP are our special populations at the high school. Because if you recall, we did start those kiddos full-time at the same time as we started the seniors 5 days a week. So all of our special populations, regardless of grade level at the high school, are in 5 days a week. So basically, they're coming in on Wednesdays. They were in 4 days previous, so now they're returning to school on Wednesdays as well. So you can see at the bottom, we have the average, remote versus full-time there, the 29% remote and 71% full-time. You can see basically, the Tenney and the high school have, at this point, right, because we're not including all the grades at the high school just yet, and I can say with pretty confidently, I was here this morning and was able to welcome back a lot of our freshman students full-time, and there were more freshman students who returned today 5 days a week. So, the seniors were a little lighter on the 5-day return, but we did have quite a few freshmen in the building today. So, and again, we expected that today, which is really nice to see in the classrooms. Teachers are really excited to have the kids in front of them. And they were excited too. Didn't show it quite the way the 5-year-olds did, but the freshmen, I have to say, kudos to everybody again. I think kids want to be where they can actually see their friends and see their teacher and actually get that teaching and learning experience again. So it was a very good day here at the high school as well for that. So we'll have the same information for you on the 26th, and we'll put all the grades in there. So at that point, we'll be 2 days out from welcoming back all of our students, so whatever we have in Infinite Campus should be pretty accurate. So are there any questions for me about this? And then I'm gonna have Mr. Noble give you an MCAS update, and then there were, Member Santos had asked if we could talk about specials at the grammar school, so I don't wanna keep going if there were questions about this piece. Or about the opening in general. Okay.
Questions?
And then I know, so Mr. Goslin has been swimming in transportation the past month or so to make all this happen for our students, combining cohort A and cohort B. There was communication that got a little bit lost in communication. We put some dates on a memo that went out. Mr. Goslin quickly sent another email out to families on Monday evening to rectify that, which I believe has been rectified. So, I think people, for the most part, are being patient with us. We did change routes. I mean, there was a lot that went in to orchestrate this change that's happening right now. So, as far as we are concerned, most of that has been worked out. Mr. Goslin is continuing to field emails and phone calls and requests at this point, and we will accommodate, same thing, as many requests as we can that will fit on the bus safely. So that's where we are on that point. Mr. Noble, do you want to just go over? So I attached for you guys the most recent, so there are some updates and changes. We're trying to keep up. So I will say it's challenging to keep up with these, but we're doing the best we can. And so I just wanted an opportunity, because I know this is a really important topic for all of you and our school community at this point. So I just wanted an opportunity tonight, Mr. Noble, to update us sort of what this means, because there's some things in here that are definitive, and there are some things in here that have been incredibly vague at this point. Mr. Noble.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, everyone. So the press release here came out on April 1st and basically announces the Commissioner's intention to seek board approval to modify the competency determination for current 11th graders, which basically means that those students would follow the same course-based criteria to earn the competency determination as this year's seniors and last year's seniors we're able to benefit from in light of the ongoing pandemic. So basically it takes the test itself off the plate of current juniors. One caveat is juniors who want to compete for the Adams Scholarship and the Koplik Certificate of Mastery will still have to test, although they can do that next year during the retest window. So there's a little bit of flexibility even for those who want to pursue those additional scholarship opportunities. The other updates pertain to the grades 3 through 8 tests. These aren't in your packet because they just came out, but basically we have been informed with no details that remote testing will be possible for grades 3 through 8. DESI's running a webinar to announce more details on April 29th, which comes really close to the May 10th start date for some of those grades. But we will eagerly await that additional information about what a remote MCAS will look like, but we know it will be an option. And then we also finally received the testing dates for grades 6 through 8, which we had been waiting for. So we now know our windows for 3 through 5, which were announced back in March, will be May 10th through June 11th. And we know our 6 to 8 window will be May 17th through June 11th, and that was just announced last week. So that's where we stand on the testing for grades 3 through 8.
Any updates on remote learners?
So I think that's the response to the remote, the question on remote learners testing is the availability of the remote option. But we don't exactly know what that means yet.
Yeah, it's just getting kind of short.
Sure is.
Yeah. Looks like you did a good job.
Okay. So, Member Santos, I know that there was a question regarding specials classes for remote students. If you just want to elaborate, and we'll do our best to respond to those questions.
Absolutely, thank you. So last week I heard went great for our students that went in full-time, as you had already mentioned. I did receive some feedback from parents who had some concerns, as well as their children. So I understand that, we're in the middle of a pandemic and doing the best we can at this point. And without breaking any type of open meeting law, I'd like to have a conversation regarding the asynchronous curriculum for the specials classes for our remote students. Since last week, the feedback that I got from parents expressing their concern regarding those specific classes concerns their children have emotionally broken down. The situation that we're in has been very difficult as it is, and to hear the news that they were losing those teachers for art, music, band, what have you, really kind of was an additional blow to what they've already received. And to quote, children have expressed to their parents that they feel left out, cast aside, a second thought. So I'm sure that a lot of work was taken, a lot of things were done to be taken into consideration to come up with this plan. I guess as a body, as a community, we should consider our in-person students as well as our remote students. And we don't want anyone, any of our kids to feel like they're being pushed aside. So my question is, what conversations took place? What avenues did we look at as far as options to come up with the plan that we have now? And is there any way that we can make this a little bit easier and less of a blow on our children that are remote learning?
Sure. Thank you for the question.
Start.
What's that?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you to start.
Thank you for the question, and we're certainly sensitive to any member of the community feeling as though their children are left out of the system. Obviously, that's not the intention. In planning how we're going to accommodate a full return, we're caught against maintaining safe class sizes, honoring the existing teacher contract, and then just navigating the pure number of adults we have available in the buildings right now. And unfortunately, the only way we were able to figure out how to provide teachers with their daily contractual prep period was to make sure that all students were released for specials with all the available specialists in the building at a particular point in the schedule for each grade level. And what that effectively did is it took all of the specialist educators that we have in the district and booked them for the day. And so what that means is that the only way to provide coverage for our in-person learners was to move to an asynchronous special model for our remote learners, which we understand is not ideal, but it's the only way we were able to open our doors. We racked our brains for weeks in that planning effort, and that's where we landed as the sort of path of least destruction. So that's where we landed.
Okay, I guess the situation is I received a phone call from a parent who has a child who's first grade. I could be wrong, first or second grade. It's extremely difficult for that child to, they're lucky enough to have the parent at home to guide them through instruction. Today, I'll use an example. A link wasn't updated. There was no work for one of the specials classes today. So some children were left with nothing to do. There was no work. So it was a block of, I think it's 40 or 45 minutes of open time to do whatever they chose. So we collectively, I think, need to try to do better than that and close the gap a little bit for them and make them feel just as included as the students. Because again, it was expressed to me by more than one parent that their kids are feeling left out. And I don't want that. I'm sure none of us want that for our kids in the district. Do we have any other options? I mean, I know you said you've racked your brain. What about the use of cameras in the classroom just so that the kids that are remote can follow instruction as a one-way option? Would that work?
So right now, specials are happening outside unless it's raining. And so the camera option was removed when we had to make the decision to have all specialists congregate with their classes outside. And that's, again, to provide students mask break opportunities, provide students with chances to move around and not be in rows all day long. And so, again, a byproduct of that decision was that we don't have the ability to live stream the special blocks anymore.
And that's including art and band and chorus, all of it?
Outside.
They're all outside.
So, and I just want to add to that. So I think the amount of moving parts to this decision, so it's not that all of our specialist teachers, the original decision that we made was that they would be fully remote even if they were in the building, because it was the only way we could actually have all kids remote and in-person access specials. And to do that, we had specials who were designated in different classrooms. So you had one teacher who might have kids in 2 homerooms, 3 homerooms, because we're also left with less specialist teachers than there were numbers of homerooms, right? So we already knew we were up against a staffing issue to start the school year, the way we started it.
Right.
So this decision to move full in person, we then had to determine which staff we did have full in person, because we're still, they're still working with staff with ADA accommodations. Some people are on leave. So how many actual full-time staff do we have in each building? And I have to say, Mr. Osgood and Ms. Mancini and Mr. Noble spent the better of 2 to 3 weeks looking at every single building and rescheduling students into color groups so that when this started, they're going to have a special for a week at a time. And so the homeroom knows they're going to art for a week, PE for a week. Part of that was also thinking about safety, so we were keeping kids with the same group and the same specialist teacher for at least a week and not switching them every day like our typical schedule would be. And so the other part of that is a lot of these special classrooms in the beginning of our plan were actually designated for other purposes. And so, because we knew they were going to be remote the whole time. So you're talking about several buildings who there are rooms being used for storage. There are rooms that we actually can't take apart. There are certain art rooms that have tables that actually we can't physically move those and put desks in now 3 feet apart, so they don't physically fit right? The number of kids that we would need to be in those spaces. There are some that do work well that way, so we have some health classrooms and art rooms somewhere in the district that do, so they really took careful thought to schedule each building with what each building had for staff and space. So it was incredibly meticulously done, but a lot of the staff, so PE is outside, we're putting up tents here in the next, they're here on campus as of today, so we're putting up tents, that we're gonna have chairs outside, things like that for students as another space. The other thing to also try to visualize, and I will certainly invite the school committee for a visit, as we did with the mayor today, but you know, a lot of those large spaces have been converted into spaces for 6 feet apart for snack and lunches. Our media centers are not libraries anymore, they're spaces for lunch and snack. That's the only way we can do this at the grammar school. So I really am saying all this because I want the parents, our intention this whole year is not to leave anybody behind. The options for this are just really difficult right now. When we have 75% of our students in the building, we physically need people in the building to supervise those kids, and we don't have all the spaces available for that number of kids. Many of these classes don't have just 22 3 feet apart to just even keep in the classrooms. And so, again, an enormous amount of work went into scheduling, and I can't thank Mr. Osgood and Ms. Mancini and Mr. Noble enough because they were able to handle that part of this plan for each building and each building separately. So again, it's not ideal, but please know, you and the public know that we did everything we could to try to plan for all of this. You all know, right? We don't have enough BBEs in our building. I don't have all the specialist teachers in the building for a variety of reasons, and space makes it more complicated. And so this switch, that happened also makes it complicated, right? And so we had a plan that we thought was gonna go to the end of the year with specials. That plan, got turned around a little bit with the full in-person return happening when it did. So, again, we did look at every avenue. We're not here to leave any kids behind. And the issue about the no links, that's not okay, and we'll make sure that we check in on those issues because we do want the kids to have something to do every day. That was planned. That part was planned. So if that's not happening, then we need to make sure that we have that executed pretty consistently. Not pretty, consistently. No pretty.
And I absolutely understand and believe that you guys put so much work into it, and thank you for doing that. I just wish there was another way to not make these kids feel this way. It's heartbreaking. But thank you for the explanation.
Welcome.
Member DeZoglio first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also received phone calls about this, and so the first question I have is, we had specialists that supposedly took a leave of absence after, is that correct? Like
I'm not
after,
sure.
like recently, like as people went back in person, there were supposedly specialists that said, I cannot come into the building.
Correct. So we had to go through the interactive process with all staff. So when we returned to full in-person, that was something that Colleen did with all the staff who were on leave to determine when they could physically come back in person or not. And so we had to continue that process through. So there are certainly some staff in the district that we went through that process with, and I don't think I can say too much more about.
And what I want to direct is, could we have had those specialists do remote so they can work with these remote kids and do activities with them and kind of assign them to do activities like, I don't know, have a gym teacher do exercises with them online, or maybe have the same gym teacher do art. Just because the parents that I've talked to said it was the fact that they had interaction on those specialists when they were with their friends, or having a teacher that would talk to them and do activities with. And I understand everybody put a lot of effort into this plan, but to me, before we went into in-person, everybody seemed to not be left out, and now we go in person, and we have a group of people that decided to stay out of school now feel left out, like committee member Santos directed. So I don't know what the process was, but I feel like we need to get those specialists that took the leave of absence and maybe put them as a remote teachers and have them work with our students. I just feel like that's an obligation to those students, but I'm pretty sure maybe those specialists would work if they were to remain remote.
So thank you for asking that question, Member DeSaglio, because we thought of just that. But you're talking about maybe a handful of teachers for 3,000 students. So, and not all the subject areas. So that was absolutely an avenue that we had considered, something that we had discussed with Mr. Osgood, Ms. Mancini, and Mr. Noble, and the principals about how do we go down that path. Are there opportunities where we have enough specialist teachers who are remote to service, but you literally are talking 3 or 4 teachers to service the entire district, which that would have been less feasible at this point to put on any staff member or the families or students. We just wouldn't have been able to make that. In 4 schools, you wouldn't have been able to have one art teacher to be able to service all students at those schools. So that absolutely was already looked at as well, and was deemed not feasible either. So I'm glad you brought that up.
And I have one more question, Mr. Mayor. Another thing that was directed towards me when parents did the surveys, on the survey, it did not tell them that they were going to lose specialist teachers, correct?
It was on the original plan that we sent out. Absolutely, it was. It was listed on the plan that went out to parents and discussed here, that remote students would have asynchronous specials. I don't want to quote it, I don't know if it was actually one of the bullet points in the letter I sent home, but it was on the plan that was sent home.
It was a bullet point on the letter that you sent home after the survey. But
Yeah, I don't know if it was on the front. I don't want to miss.
No. I saw it at the bottom. It was the last square that said students that were to go remote might lose specialists. I don't want to quote it directly, but they said when they were doing the survey, what some parents said, if they saw that remote, if they were to click remote, and they were told this is what possibilities that could happen if your child was to remain remote, they would have maybe decided differently. In which I just feel like, we're not perfect but that is one of the upsetting things parents are having right now. If that was on the actual survey that was sent out, they might have changed their minds. And I don't know how we can correct it, but I also have seen the charts that are being used and the links. And I do not know, committee member Santos said like there were links with no work. I just feel like those students, we should be paying, I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like those students are being left out, and I think we need to fix it and figure out ways that we as a committee can help those students continue to go throughout the year and not feel left out.
Thank you, Member DeSaglio. Member Pesh?
Thanks, Mayor. Most of the points I was going to raise were actually covered by Member Santos and Member DeSaglio. I just want to echo their sentiments. I feel the same way. It's difficult because I think we're in a strange predicament now where you've already stated that we're at max capacity, because now it creates this balance of remote parents seeing what remote has actually turned into and experiencing it on a daily basis. I know I had a call from a couple parents as well who chose remote, partly based on the fact that there was a little caveat in the memo, I guess, that said if you choose to go back to school, there's a good possibility that you'll have to change teachers. But these remote parents who chose to stay in their classroom specifically because their child, had an affection or whatever for their teacher, that teacher is gone now. So it's a tough predicament to be in, because Now, my suggestion would have been, well, could they have a chance to, get more kids back to school, especially with DESE's requirement, the state requirement, wanting as many students coming back. But now when I hear your report saying that we are literally maxed out, it's just, I understand it's not every grade, every class, every level, but there's a good possibility that there just may not be a space for that student. I don't have the answers. I think, again, Member Santos and Member DiZoglio raised good points. Like, what do they do on the rainy days? I know you said they're outside with the exception of rain. Is it a possibility to turn on the cameras even once in a while for that? I mean, it would make the world. I know I have a third grader, and, school is school, but sometimes those specials are also the only times they can see their friends from other classes. And, that's a big deal for when you talk about elementary school level, especially, the younger students. So I don't have the answers. I wish I did. I don't discount all the work you've put into this, because I can't even imagine, and you've done great with the task that was put in front of you, but I just, again, have to echo their sentiments that I really feel like, we don't want any student to be left behind, but at the end of the day, we made a choice. And that choice was to sacrifice the, I don't want to say learning, but the specials of the remote academy students for the betterment of the ones that are in person. So they did get the short end of the stick in that regard, not by any malicious means, just because of circumstance. So if we can come up with any ideas or go back to the drawing board, I think it would be really appreciated by the remote academy students and parents.
Member McLeod.
Will remote learners be held to the same grading mechanisms as children who are in person? Are they responsible? And do the teachers have the capacity to grade them?
No, go ahead. So, Mr. Osgood and Ms. Mancini have been working with their teams around expectations for the remainder of the year. So even the in-person students will be just in a pass-fail situation for the rest of the year because of the fluctuations in daily schedules and the disruption to the schedule of learning, given that now they're going to be in 1 week chunks. And so, everyone's going to be in the same situation in terms of getting feedback on performance on specials.
Can you also please clarify what grade levels this applies to? Is it all students in Methuen Public Schools that are learning remotely?
K-8.
Thank you. And then I'm not sure if the teachers would even have the capacity for this, but would it be possible to apply some of the federal funding toward a stipend if teachers wanted to provide remote instruction during their planning time, that they would be compensated for it, knowing that we're, taking away their needed planning time so that they can provide instruction. I don't know if there's enough appetite, if it would be a solution at all, if there'd be enough teachers willing or interested in doing that to support the remote learners.
So also an idea that was on the table. The issue is that they're teaching during all planning times. So to ask a teacher to take their own planning time is typically during a before and after lunch time when the students are in core academics. So that's a really difficult one at the K-8 situation, because at the high school it's a little different because it's by block of time, right? So teachers might not have that course, and that might be another course. So we can do those things at the high school a little bit easier with the blocks. The grammar school schedule just doesn't afford that particular opportunity because the kids are in academics while the rest of the grades are at specials. So I don't know if I made sense. I hope I did, because I live and breathe schedules, but the opportunity is just not quite there at the grammar schools to even entertain that.
So another wondering is, college graduation is upon us. Are there individuals who have just graduated with teaching degrees that maybe can come in at this point to provide this instruction for the remainder of the year? I know, hiring
I don't
is
know,
so
and it would
hard.
probably be closer to May 20th, that, we know that we've had students reach out to us who are typically our substitutes, who can come in for, when they're out of school, to be BBEs and such. And the date for many of those on our spreadsheets are, around the May 15th area, where those kids are coming back, and we're counting on the college kids to come back to do those things. I mean, yes, short-lived and,
Very short.
probably interruptive, but it's not, something we can certainly consider. And just like, I just want to respond to Member Pesh, I don't, we have looked at this upside down, sideways, as many times as we can. I don't know what the solutions are. So going back to the drawing board is really not feasible for the 8 weeks left we have of school. If there are things we can do, we will, and we've continuously have said that. It's just, we're in a little bit of a difficult, not a little bit, we're in a difficult situation because of sort of how quickly we were told to do this, and the staffing and the space. We just are limited in that fact, and we cannot leave students unsupervised and unsupervised, right, in the building for in-person. So, we'll continue to hope that there are other options, and see what the later spring gives us, if there's additional staff or college kids to do things like that. I don't know. I know you're asking us to go back and look at more options. I don't know what other options we can look at. That's where we're kind of stuck, to make all of this work and the wheels keep going. And again, there was certainly no malicious intent to not have students, participate in the same things they've had all year. That certainly was not where we're going. Every school district's kind of tackling this one differently, so even reaching out to colleagues didn't really yield, much difference or ideas at this point. So, you're welcome.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Good discussion. Turning to page 40 in the package. Does the committee have any questions regarding the residency report? Excuse me. Member Pesh?
I had a quick one. Is Mr. Lucier here?
He is. He's right behind me.
Oh, he's behind you.
Yeah.
Just, really? You might be able to nod your head for this. It's just a very easy question. When we get a new registration for school, if that person is proven not to live in the district, despite what they provide to us, that doesn't go on here, right, as an investigation?
Correct.
Okay. They're not added in here like ones that are rejected from the start?
Correct.
Okay.
So you're saying people who are applying to come to Methuen schools but can't even get in,
Right.
they do not show up on this report. That's correct.
Is there a way to track those numbers? Is that just more I'm just thinking, I'm just wondering, because, I think, and I know we have an update later on, but I think a lot of the changes we've made is a great deterrent, and I think we're doing a really good job. So I'd love to see that in our report, if it's possible, and not just making more work. If it's too time consuming for nothing to yield,
Yeah, sometimes it's the time that lapses, because we don't have a time. Somebody could start an application. So for example, we have people filling out applications for next year right now, and it could be in like limbo status for months until, we don't put a time limit for them to prove residency, let's say. So we could quantify it kind of annually with rough numbers of how many people showed up for a meeting and then decided not to enroll or to pursue the next steps. But to do it on a monthly report would be kind of challenging.
If it's at all feasible, again, I don't think we need it monthly anyway. I would just at some point, if it's possible, to get the numbers just to see it as a deterrent.
Sure.
I think that'd be interesting, because like I said, I think it's a lot better going forward.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the residency? If not, let's move on. It's time to put on the thinking caps. We're going to move on to the old business and pending matters, where we really shown ourselves 2 weeks ago. I need a motion to approve the second reading to revise and readopt EBCC, student absences and excuses, COVID-19.
So moved.
Moved by Member DeZoglio. I need a second.
Second.
second by Member Pesh. Discussion.
Mayor, may I just make a clarification?
Please.
Just because it's hard to see on here. So there is a statement there that was left off of the first read. I want to make sure that you can identify it under number 2. There was a piece there that I think we had some conversation about it, but, and again, for some reason it was left off the first read. Students who accrue 3 unexcused absences on in-person learning days may be switched to full-time learning model. So same idea of making those phone calls. The state is just not going to allow us to carry kids, right? Hybrid is over, so that option of I want to come to school some days, I want to stay home some days, just does not exist. So we really have to categorize, code students as either full-time remote or full in-person. Those are our only 2 options from this point forward, certainly for K-8. And then high school, we're following the same model as we're rolling that phased-in return. So we want everybody to be on the same playing field for that. It's very difficult for us to submit data through Infinite Campus to the state if we're playing around with the attendance at this point. So I just want to put that out there because, again, I think that was part of our discussion early on about absences and how we're doing it. But this makes it that much clearer, I think, for parents, teachers, and students. That's the only addition.
I'm assuming there'd be some discussion with the parents before the switch?
Correct. Well, it has to be with the parents, yeah, absolutely. Those are all happening now, so I don't want you to think that this isn't already in practice. This just sort of puts some definitive language on I want to come to school some days and I want to stay home some days, which is happening a little more here at the high school, which can't happen anymore. So that's what we're trying to avoid. And if we have situations at the grammar school where students have selected in person, because the other piece of that is, like I said earlier, if we have grade levels that are at capacity, but the students aren't showing up, and there may be another student who does want to come in, now you're taking up seats, right, for the students who want to come in. So, we have to designate the kids appropriately. So if there's really not it's all about the unexcused, right? If there's really no good reason for the kids to be out, that's what we're talking about here, and it'll all be done with the parents, absolutely. Kids can't make that choice.
Any other discussion?
Just one, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Member DeZoglo?
So if we can make kids that have no unexcused absences on in-person learning days, maybe switch to full-time remote, can a student that's fully remote but doesn't have excused absences to be signing on be brought back into the school? Be switched to in-person days? I'm talking about vice versa. Like a remote student that's not signing on and is failing, just say that individual's failing. Can we switch them to in-person? Oh.
We've had administrators and teachers doing that all year long. So if there are kids we need to try to bring in, we're making phone calls and hoping the kids will come in if we have the opportunity. So that practice is not going to change because of an absent policy.
Any other discussion? Jody, can you do a roll call, please?
Ryan DeZoglio?
Yes.
Karen Hallbauer?
Yes.
Jessica McLeod?
Yes.
Susan Nicholson? Luann Santos?
Yes.
Jane Azani Pesh?
Yes.
Mayor Neil Perry?
No. Motion carries. I need a motion to take policy EBCA, pay attention now, travel policy, staff COVID-19, to remove from the table.
So moved.
Moved by Member DeZoglio, second by Member Pesh. Okay. I now need a motion to rescind policy EBCA. Sorry?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
To remove from the table.
I still can't hear you.
Yeah.
Correct. I jumped ahead. Thank you. So all those in favor of removing EBCA travel policy staff COVID-19 from the table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you, Doty.
table.
I now need a motion to rescind policy EBCA travel policy staff COVID-19. Just a reminder, a yes vote will rescind it.
Yeah.
A no vote will fail the resolution, so I need a motion.
We don't need to take a motion either.
I'm sorry?
If we don't even take a motion, it'll die too. It'll be taken, it will fail too.
Correct.
So we don't need to take a motion.
I'm asking for a motion to take, to rescind policy EBCA travel policy staff COVID-19.
So it just fails.
Motion fails.
I'm a little mystified, but okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
it does. You
Yep.
can do it either way.
You
It
gotta
fails.
count the mayor is very confused now based on the discussion we had last time, so.
Yeah.
I'll have to take some more Wheaties tonight because that was confusing. Okay. Maybe I wasn't clear enough that that was to rescind it, right? Okay, so we're leaving the policy in place, yes?
Now we're revised.
Okay. May I have a motion to revise and readopt EBCA travel policy staff COVID-19 and approve as a final read?
So moved.
Moved by Member Zoglio,
I'll second it.
seconded by Member Harbaugh. Got it. Discussion. I see hands here and here. Member Pesh?
I'll agree with the mayor. I might need some Wheaties too, because now I'm getting a little confused. These are both revised policies that we're keeping in place, right? We've changed it since the last read. I know we've all got a ton of emails about this. I think I can speak for the rest of the board as well. And some of the concerns, I just want the public to understand that they
Yes.
are addressed in here.
Yeah, so we can, if you want me to just go through it.
I think that would be great just for the public so they don't think that it's staying the same.
Yeah, so what I did is revised, so we kind of, the previous policy is really null and void because the language in it was all the governor's travel order, which does not exist anymore. So what this policy said, and all the first part is the travel advisory, and I think the most important part here is that there are 5 bullets that are listed from the travel advisory, and the one I think that is most important for us, for students and staff, is that travelers who are fully vaccinated 2 weeks out from second shot do not need to do anything further. And that is included in this policy if approved tonight. That will prove for our staff, if they can provide evidence of their vaccination card, if they travel, that they're 2 weeks out from second shot or 2 weeks out from the J&J shot, they do not need to give us that day 4 or 5 negative test. So the second part underneath that is the part that I did write in, which I believe was at the will of the committee, that we had, if folks are not fully vaccinated at this point, then we would expect staff to provide, quarantine until day 4 or 5 and provide us with a negative PCR test because they're not fully vaccinated. And I believe that's what I heard last time. So I wanted to make sure that was aligned. So you'll see the same language in the staff and the student policy. We're only talking about the staff one right now. And the staff policy there is to return to work, that they would need that only if they're not fully vaccinated. And then, of course, they have these other provisions up here. If you're only out of the state for 24 hours, none of it pertains, right? So all of those we will follow. I believe it's the vaccination part that, and Member Pesh, correct me if I'm wrong, that we wanted to make sure is noted. Most of our staff will be fully vaccinated. Many are already. But we do have that provision still in there for the day 4 or 5 for those not fully vaccinated. And again, I believe that was the wish of the committee. That is how the revision reads. And so yes, tonight we did want this to be, and we did check with MASC. We want it to be first and final so that this can carry us through June. And we know that if that's the case, it's effective immediately after the vote.
With the
Oh, yeah.
rationale, you mean?
Mhm.
The rationale for making the final read is that the issue at stake holds up work in the district and affects the daily operation of the schools.
We
So
just
the
don't,
motion is still
don't want to
on-
wait another 2 weeks to do this. Yeah,
The motion is still on the table. Any other discussion?
thank you.
Do a roll call, just to be safe? Yeah?
Ryan DiZoglio?
Yes.
Karen Hallbauer?
Yes.
Jessica McLeod?
Yes.
Susan Nicholson? Yes. Luann Santos?
Yes.
Jane Azani Pesh?
Yes.
Mayor Neil Perry?
Yes, fake me right out, everybody, okay. Not doing good tonight. All right. May I have a motion to revise and readopt EBCB, travel policy for students, COVID-19, and approve as a final read. Again, the rationale is that the issue at stake holds up work in the district and affects the daily operation of the schools. I need a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Member Pesh,
Second.
seconded by Member Santos. Discussion, if any. Hearing and seeing none, I'm going to go way out on a limb and say I don't think we need roll call. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for bailing the mayor out. All right, moving on to new business. May I have a motion to approve the 2021-2022 school calendar?
So moved.
Oh, I got a lot of some.
Second.
Moved by Member Santos, seconded by Member McLeod. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the school choice program? I need a motion first. Moved by Member McLeod, I need a second. The motion is to approve, but we'll go into discussion and we'll talk about how we vote. Yeah,
They do go for a vote. They do let to see,
correct.
we're gonna have to send that in.
S-
Ian sends that in to them electronically.
Correct.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Member DiZoglio. Superintendent, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so we are required annually to decide as a committee if we're going to allow school choice, and what that means is that we allow other students from other districts to come into our district for seats. I am urging the committee to not participate in school choice. We have plenty of students enrolled in the Methuen Public Schools. We do not need our class sizes to go up any further. So we're looking to stabilize our enrollment, not looking to invite other communities into our public schools. Did I explain
know
that?
how many students are currently participating in school choice?
We don't have any. Every year, we urge every year, our schools should be for Methuen Public School students. And again, because we have enough issues with our class sizes and space, we just don't have the seats. Other districts are in very different places, so they do participate in school choice. We just, I do not believe that we have the luxury to open seats to other communities at this point. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, so just a reminder, a no vote means not to participate in school choice, right? So I think we should probably do a roll call, yes, no, sorry, yeah.
Ryan DiZoglio?
No.
Karen Hallbauer?
No.
Jessica McLeod?
Nope.
Susan Nicholson?
No.
Luann Santos?
No.
Jane Azani Pesh?
No.
Mayor Neil Perry?
No. Unanimous, fake me out again. All right, may I have a motion to approve the 2021, excuse me, to approve the 2020-2021 last day of school?
So moved.
Moved by Member Zugler,
Second.
seconded by Member Santos, sorry, thought I heard it over here. Any discussion? Nor would I expect any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously passes. That moves us on to Finance and Operations. The expenditure report, does the committee have any questions? I have one quick one, maybe quick. So I noticed you moved to the new report, as you said, but there's others that stayed the same standard format. So the others, will they change over, or?
We're looking at the best way to do the revolving accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, we've already started having that conversation. So eventually, I would like to go there, we're just not ready yet.
Okay. And so the second question I have is, later on, Mr. Lucio is going to come up and talk to us about the Apple lease contract. What line item does that come out of?
That would come under, supplies.
Supplies?
Yep.
Okay. And my third, since I'm, so at what point in the budget, Ian, so we're through the end of March, and I'm looking at the balances. At what point do we begin discussing, so I remember last year we had discussions on omnibus and all that kind of stuff, and I'm a big anti-omnibus guy, I'll say that publicly. So when do we start talking about what's left and what we do with it?
I actually had this conversation with Doty. We actually added that to the agenda so that every meeting, transfer of funds, if there's a need, we'll be bringing it to you. There is no need of transfer of funds today.
Yeah.
However, it is on the agenda.
Please.
And obviously, anytime that we're switching over categories, we would have an opine from Sean as well as Maggie.
Yep, thank you. Anybody else? I've spent my nickel. Okay, let's move on. Revolving funds report. Does the committee have any questions? I have one. Sorry, it's my night. So some of them, most of them were dated beginning of April. One of them was dated beginning of March. I paged through and kind of find it. I just didn't know if it was like a typo or
The revolving accounts?
yeah, I thought so. Hang on.
You're talking about student activities.
What am I talking about?
I'm not sure. Is it revolving account?
I'll give you a page number. Hang on.
Yeah.
I highlighted it someplace. I don't know, maybe I was dreaming it, Ian. Maybe it was all a dream one night. But
I believe it's
it'll come
student
to me.
activities. I believe,
One of them had a March date on it.
yeah,
It's actually in the
student activities.
student activities, yeah.
I'll look into that, but I believe maybe at the last meeting, those ones were missing. So
Okay.
you got them both.
Okay,
Mayor?
go ahead.
A question about revolving? Thanks. So I'm just looking at the revolving accounts. Can you just walk me through some of the revenue versus expenditures, like the larger ones,
Which-
that have a huge deficit, like the MPS before and after school program? Is that something that
What
generally?
page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry. 59.
All right, you're on the.
I'm on revolving, right? Okay.
No. You're on the summary page. Okay.
So, and like the ice rink, you know I'm going to ask about the ice rink. Is it closed now?
The ice rink is closed.
So did we yield a loss for the season? Did we break even? Are these the final numbers?
I was gonna check that before I left to see if any deposits came in during the first 2 weeks. I didn't get a chance to do that, but that's a pretty good place. As of the end of April, we stopped charging the employees to that account. And they're now working for the general fund, so therefore that's where they're being charged. So I'm happy we didn't end in the red there. So,
No,
That-
what about like the Little Rangers and the MPS before and after school? Are those things that usually have huge expenditures versus such little revenue? Or is it because of class sizes? Is it because of enrollment?
it's a little of both.
Can I just, the
Yeah, go ahead.
before and after school program, we didn't open this
Right.
year.
Okay.
So we're paying some staff, right? So we had, the community programs was running the remote learning center. We were paying staff out of the ESSER funds for that.
Okay.
So there were still some operational salaries coming out of that, but we didn't have the before and after school program. So the revenue for that has ceased all year.
yeah,
Yeah. So
okay.
we typically have 800,000-ish as far as revenue goes to pay for that program.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll start seeing that this summer. We'll start seeing the revenue for the programming and then revenue in the fall.
Okay, and then Little Rangers, again, was it enrollment?
Well, Little Rangers is staff members, students coming in, so us having our staff remote for a while.
Yeah.
Kids were remote as well.
And we just opened
So
it 5
revenue's down a
days.
little bit, then
Right. Okay.
lower than it usually is.
No, I just wanted to make sure, like, I never remembered seeing numbers like this before on those.
Little
things,
Rangers
so-
was not open 5 days a week either, so it was open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We just opened it again on Wednesdays, starting middle of March for staff as we were starting to return. So there was that piece too.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
you're welcome.
And then she was dancing around her favorite topic, the ice rink. So I know we closed the ice rink, but we have encumbered amounts. So how can we have encumbered amounts when we're closed?
The vast majority of that would be contracted services. There's service on the Zamboni, purchasing glass, et cetera, stuff as we get ready for next year.
Okay.
So, or any things we've already done that we just haven't cut the check for yet.
Any other revolving funds? Go ahead.
Mayor, sorry. I'm flipping through the pages. Page 61, the technology hardware, that's not for like broken iPads and stuff, is it?
Yes.
So are we still collecting? I thought there was like a fee to subsidize that amount, or are those things that aren't covered by the protection plan?
We do collect. Ed would know the exact answer for that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, are you speaking about the revolving account for the repairs?
Yes, the technology hardware under expense.
Right, so yes, that's a revolving account where we do assess fees and collect the money, and it does get deposited. The large, most of the repairs get done towards the end of the year when we collect devices. That's when we really start withdrawing from that line.
Okay, but we do charge the student some sort of
Yes.
partial
Yes.
fee, right, for like a broken? What about deliberate breakage?
Correct. So we've had a lot of success. We'll charge full price for devices. That's clearly stated in the handbook
Like Apple
and the
Care and stuff
agreement.
doesn't cover that, so, right?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
thanks.
As well, Chromebooks as well. if
All
it's-
levels,
if it's
right? It's part of all the
deliberate.
agreements.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
it's intentionally a sliding scale, so administrators help
Sure.
determine, where we land.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Zaglio?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On page 60, I have one question with the cell phones. Who do we have that have cell phones, and why it's up to like $2,111.52?
Say 50?
52 cents.
No, 50 page.
Oh, page 60.
60, okay.
And
Yes. The before and after school programs really don't have an office within each building. So each of the program coordinators does have a cell phone, and that is the phone number for the program. So when students need to when parents need to pick up their child early, or the child's not coming, or there's special circumstances, they need a way to reach somebody. So there are 4 for the 4 grammar schools, and it's with the program coordinator specifically for that reason.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nothing else from revolving funds. Let's move on to the grants, which starts on page 73, I think. Any question on the grants?
Mayor?
Yes, Member Pesh?
So the CF, that's carried forward? That's what that is? Okay. And if it's, we'll be notified if it's closed, right? So we have, I just always like to check. We have, because not every grant can be carried forward, right?
Correct.
So we have something in place, yes, to make sure everything is spent for the grant money before it's closed?
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
like to reiterate it every
Yes.
meeting. I appreciate that. Thank
Yes,
you.
You're welcome.
And then, on page 73, COVID prevention shows you have an unexpended balance of $391,000. Is there a plan for that? Say it again? Page 73, FY '21 COVID prevention. If I'm reading correctly, it shows an unexpended balance of $391,887.50. Is there a plan for that?
Oh, yeah.
So that will be spent.
Go
And I
ahead.
guess
Here,
that
take
this
your
ties to-
microphone back.
So as I look at some of these, they still have some healthy balances. How do we know which ones are carryovers and which ones can roll into multiple years, or? So when they say FY '21, I'm assuming that means they're gonna be spent in '21.
Not necessarily. Some of these are eligible for carry forward. The one you just mentioned, Mayor, is a state line item that came out of the final state budget. The 394, 387.50 is the amount that was given to the Methuen Public Schools. We've only received a partial payment thus far. We're expecting the second half of that disbursement this month. And Ian and Mr. Lucier and I have been meeting to figure out which of our COVID-related expenses we're going to hit with that grant amount, because that has the shortest term expiration date. That money dies on June 30th.
So I'm just going to add to that, one of the options that I know we started to talk about in the preliminary budget last week, which was a lot, but this is the kind of idea that as the three of them meet, if there's something that we can actually write expense to a grant that we can carry forward, right? We want to expense it and carry forward as much money as we can carry forward. So some of the ESSER funds that we talked about, those are carry forward for the next, right? One is going to last us till next June, then June 23. So we're trying to carry forward, and I definitely know I said this, I tried to stress this point, as much funds as we can, right? So as many carry forward grants that we can move forward, that's what we're trying to do. So again, some of these funds are saying, you know, this is the date that it ends. Like Mr. Noble said, this one ends June 30th. So we have, we've certainly purchased more stuff to open full in person. We've had other lines to do that, so it's just a matter of how we can best and strategically move forward and carry forward as much funds. That's one of them.
Okay. Moving on to the student activity counts. Page 75, Ian is the one I referenced. Found it finally. Right.
It looks like you have March and April, yep.
Any questions on student activity? Okay, moving on to food services report. You have a question on food services report, Member DiZoglio?
The question I have here is so we're supposed to get $259,000 in the red right now in this?
Can you ask that question again?
So total due is $259,000, that's how much is owed to us?
$205,000 is coming in state reimbursement. We've already submitted it. Should be getting it any day if we didn't already. We just didn't have it by the end of March. And satellites owe us 53. They will also be paid up before the end of this month. So that money is good, and
We're getting.
we're not worried about not getting that money.
Okay,
Yeah,
It's receivables.
thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. Moving on to contracts. I need a motion to approve the 2021-2022 Apple lease contract.
Second.
Member Cloud, seconded by Member Santos. Thank you. Discussion. So as a techno, where are the 93 Mac Minis going? I read this better than I read it before we went to city council. I'll say this.
Right.
Yeah.
And we did get approved at city council, so that was great. So the Fine Arts Labs, we have 3 of them. One is in the corner here, our media productions, and then 2 downstairs. The iMacs that those teachers use were purchased in 2013. So the idea here is the Mac Mini will replace those iMacs. We like it as a better solution. And tying it to this lease is what seems to be a good strategy. We'll be forced to refresh in 4 years, which is more appropriate than waiting the 7 years that we did this time, 7 or 8 years. So that's built into this lease for the Fine Arts Labs.
Now, this is the $1 purchase outright at the end of the lease. So I assume, and we saw this here earlier this year, where you take older models and you
Right.
auction them.
Right, so the iMacs that we have right now, I already have quotes of $175 a piece, so we need to go through the procurement, the correct steps to sell those off, but yeah, that'll be the idea. And everything is a $1 purchase at the end of the 4 years.
And I got one more, and then I'll shut up.
Sure.
So the 550, I thought it was 550, or that's the iPad
Yeah.
number, right? Is that the anticipated number of incoming freshmen?
That's the projected number plus a little buffer?
Yeah.
Correct.
For things that have broken or?
More so if a higher percentage of students, our enrollment would actually be more than that if everybody came to Methuen High School, so we try to predict, and we've landed on that number the last few years.
Okay. Anybody else?
And Mary, just to be clear, so you were asking about funding earlier, the funding line for this is FY '22.
Yeah.
I'm here early because Apple's agreed to do the deferred payment so that we can work on these the next few months, rather than, usually this is a summer project, and we're just trying to get this done now, knowing that summer's gonna be very hectic.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, passes
Great.
unanimously. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Lucy.
Thank you.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the 2021-2022 Northern Essex dual enrollment contract?
So moved.
Moved by Member DiZoglio, seconded by Member Pesh. Discussion. McLeod.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just explain it so you know what the process is, because I think we did this last year, but it was a blur. But, so every year we have a dual enrollment cost built into the budget, which we currently do. It's in the preliminary budget. But the process needs to be that the school committee approved the contract before we voted in the budget. So it's there, we have it, the preliminary budget you saw includes the $40,000 here. This is a program that we've been working with Northern Essex now for, well, definitely since I've been so this is the third year that we've had a contract and a program like this. We are at a point that they're hoping that we're able to grow this program. Mr. Barden and I just didn't feel that this was the year to grow it, to keep it so that it's an option for our kids. So it's a program that is available to juniors and seniors, and so you can see a course list there option. We pay for Northern Essex staff to come here on site because transportation is an issue. So they do have partnerships with other school districts, but the kids have to go to their campus, and we don't want that to be a block, an obstacle for our students. So we've had them come here. So that's what we're contracting, is the course. So they get actually credit for high school for the courses they complete here, and they also get those 3 credits for college. So if they choose to continue their pathway at a community college and or state college, there's already an agreement set that they can graduate high school with these college credits. So that just kind of explains it. So tonight is, I am looking for your approval for this. It's a program that is super successful at the high school, and our enrollment has been pretty steady in this program, and the kids, we do service a lot of kids that go to a 2-year and then a 4-year state school, so they really benefit from these credits. I don't know if I answered any of the questions that you might have had, Member McLeod, but I'll take any questions that any of you have at this point.
Thank you. I would just had a question about the 22 student cap.
Yes.
Is that tight? And what I guess I mean is, are there more than 22 students per given class who want to be in it, and so that cap makes it exclusionary?
So that's a great question. We have not had that happen for us. The colleges really are looking for, we need to put a cap on it. But this is a really, the kids who are enrolled in this, I know last year we did an information session, which was really successful. I think Mr. Crocker, Ms. Tatro, and Mr. Barden did an information session, so the kids kind of knew what the program was. But we have not had to exclude any students from this. So we do not have more than 22 kids that, again, we're also looking for the right fit for this program too. So some of it is, teacher recommendations. Some students are recruited. Some parents are very interested in it. But we have not had that issue that we're excluding students from this program at this point.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It's a great question.
Member DiZoglio? Okay, not, with no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Awesome,
The
thank
ayes
you.
have it unanimously.
Thank you.
Notification of appointments and other personnel matters. There's no personnel transactions tonight. Other business from the committee. Is there any residency subcommittee update?
Mayor, we did meet, I think it was a couple weeks ago now, and we decided as a committee we're going to have monthly meetings going forward. So I think we're on track, revising the policy, and we're just going to keep moving forward.
Excellent. Is there any other business from the community?
I have one, Mr. Mayor. So I was talking to teachers from different schools, and I was wondering, what is this district have a mass break policy across the board? Like every school is doing the same type of mass breaks? Because I'm hearing different stories.
Nope, so when we opened in September, we're telling teachers to have mass breaks, but we're leaving it open to every teacher because every grade level, space, time, all those things are going to be different in the building. So some teachers might have the mass break associated with snack time and stay outside for a few more minutes. We were able to do some mass breaks in the building depending on the space where the students are. So it isn't, there's no policy that sets it the same in every building. So every teacher's asked to make sure that they're doing mass breaks every day, but it might look different in different buildings because of the time and space.
Okay.
We never set a policy on it. It was part of our plan that they have to do it.
Yeah, because I'm hearing, like, for instance, like, actually, I was actually, because of the incident that occurred with my district, I was out running the other day, and I went by the Tenny, and I saw students literally in lines, and they're standing around, and they're not able to talk to their friends. I don't know if that was set by the teachers or the principal of the Tenny, but I feel like what I'm hearing is one teacher will have a 10-minute mass break at the beginning, but not able to take their kids out at the end of the day. And then I'm hearing in a different school, they're taking their kids out 2-3 times a day. So I'm just trying to see if it's because of the teachers or the administrators of that building setting the requirements based off of time and space, et cetera. Because I feel like if we are going to do that, it should be across the board of how many times our students are getting mass breaks. That's just my concern, and also teachers' concerns as well.
So I don't know the specific situation you're mentioning, but we don't have a policy across the district. We left that into the hands of the folks who are going to be with the kids. And again, every building is going to be different. There's going to be spaces available and times available that are going to be different at the CGS versus the Marsh and Tenny and Timony. I will say once we are fully back at the grammar schools, it's going to be even more specific, right? When and where folks can go for those mass breaks and such. We try to be creative. I think the teachers are doing a great job trying to be creative during those times, and obviously we might see our younger students out for mass breaks more than our older students because they developmentally need that, so they might be outside more, given a break, or the teacher might recognize that classroom, the students need a little break, so we try to leave that up to the teacher, at least at this point, for their judgment, professional judgment.
Thank you.
That answers your question. Sure. Did I miss?
I have a couple quick things for the community. First and foremost, we have a COVID vaccine, Johnson & Johnson, tomorrow at the Loop. We still have about 100 shots left. So if you're thinking about getting vaccinated, tomorrow's the day. Don't wait, vaccinate. We'll be there from 10 to 5, and the clinics have been enormously successful. So if you're looking at the Johnson & Johnson one shot, tomorrow could be your day. I don't really know when the city will get J&J again, because there's been a slowdown in the distribution based on what happened a couple weeks ago. That's one thing. The second thing is Friday night we have the Dan Ford Field dedication. It's a great event that City Council helped drive. The field looks fantastic, looks amazing. There's a ceremony at 5:30. I wish I could invite you all to stay for the game, but I can't because we have rules. So you can come for the 5:30. Go ahead.
watch it live. It's our Thanksgiving
That's
Day
right.
game against Drake-It, so
Yeah.
we've got the trophy. It's going to be great.
Yep, yep.
Hopefully the weather
So-
holds up.
So please do it. It's a terrific thing for the community. And last but not least, I want to thank you, Superintendent, for accompanying me to the Timony and the Tenny today. I got to tell you, I was blown away by what I saw. Kids have an unbelievable capability to adapt. We're talking about kindergarten through fourth graders. I didn't see one iota of somebody inside 6 feet. We saw them at lunch, we saw them in class. It made me feel good because they were smiling, they were enjoying, they were participating, and they were following the guidelines.
And don't forget, you were king today.
It was, yes. One young lady, maybe, well, you got to remind me, I owe masks. They were mystified by the color of my sneakers, so I now owe one class.
You do. Yes, I will make sure we get them.
Those are masks. But I would encourage you, you know, when the 28th comes, we should take another peek around it, because honestly, with my job, it was probably the most uplifting part of my day.
It is.
I left completely pumped. The kids were just amazing, and so kudos, thank you to you and
Oh,
to the
yeah, my
principals
pleasure.
that walked us around, very patient. We interrupted, I don't
Everything.
know,
It was great.
20 classes. And they were
It's
just like
awesome.
nonplussed by it. We even met a kindergarten teacher who's had her students for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days?
Yep, so we were able to see a kindergarten class of students who were fully remote, and we were able to have this class of, a full class of kindergarten, so their first day in school ever was last Monday, and just remarkable, they were so excited, so it's just great for them to be able to experience that a little bit this year before they become first graders, so really exciting.
It was awesome. It
Yeah.
was the most uplifting part of my day, so thank you very much.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate
it was a pleasure.
All right, anything else? I need a motion to adjourn the meeting and enter into executive session, please.
So moved.
Moved by Member DeZargo, I need a
Second.
second. Who seconded it? Member Pesh? All right, I have a motion and a second to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. All units, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements. Executive session minutes review, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 22F. We will not reconvene into open session at the conclusion of the executive session. Madam Secretary, a roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The meeting is adjourned at 8:17 PM.